Job loss at any point in time in anyone's career is a horrifying experience. It's challenging, it's emotionally charged, it's a feeling of what am I going to do next? And given what we've got going on in the world today with COVID-19, it makes everything that much more uncertain because think about it this way, if this was quote unquote a normal time, if you lost your job, you'd just start going out to look for another one. Now, it's not really that simple. There's still a lot of emotions involved. But now we don't know that there are other jobs out there. And it's a waiting game. And that can be very, very frustrating. And boy, can it take a toll on your emotions. So I wanted to share 10 tips for not only getting through this time, but really coming out the other side better prepared for the next job or to be better at the job that you're doing or to secure your spot in that next job. Because if you work for a company where they may only hire back a percentage of the workers, you want to be in that front line. So these are 10 tips that I believe will help get you there. So number one is to, first of all, just breathe. Stop and take a deep breath because in allowing yourself to have a little moment of separation will help you to, okay, calm yourself down and start to think more level-headedly. So just by the action of breathing, we are allowing more oxygen to our brain, which gets us out of the fight and flight mode and into more clear and concise thinking. And that's really important. And that leads into number two, which is don't create worst case scenarios in your head. You know what? There's going to be a lot of different things that are coming at us, and there may be options here that we don't like, but knowing what is possible and probable is so much better than either hiding our head in the sand or creating worst case scenarios that you don't know will come true. So in other words, it's about getting that clarity in your head to say, okay, let's get the details here, let's get the basics, and then let's use that as our platform for where we go. The third thing is to keep in touch with your employers and your coworkers, but do it in a positive and motivational way. So imagine this. You may not think about it, but your leader, let's say you're a server in a restaurant, and your leader is the general manager. If you're constantly bombarding that person with, what do you think is happening? When do you think we can come back to work? How am I going to make it? I'm never going to survive. You're going to do a couple things. Number one, you're going to start to create a sense of aligning yourself to panic and pandemonium. And you're also going to add to the stress and all the anxiety they already feel. And when it comes down to choosing positive people when the doors open up again, you've got to recognize that that may impact you. So the positive and motivational ways are checking in saying, hey, Bob, I just want to let you know that I know you're going through a tough time. It must be really hard to have had to let so many of us go. We're here for you. We're all going to get through this. We're going to rebuilding. We're going to rebuild together. So keeping positive forward moving is really, really important to make sure that you position yourself in that vein. And that leads actually right into point number 4, which is also surround yourself, and not physically right now because we need a distance, but surround yourself with positive people, not with those that are locked in complaints or that are very down. They say that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend most time with. And it's really easy to get caught in the negativity of everything that's going on right now. It's hard to escape. However, if you want to get through it in the most positive way, you want to find those people that are also looking for the positives to help you keep afloat. And that's not easy, believe me, especially if that's not always been the way you've operated. But if this is about being one of the first back on the front lines of working again when our economies start to churn again, you want to know what employers, even your former one or potentially current one again, is going to need in the trenches with them. So number 5, again, these kind of fall together, is spend some time looking in the mirror. And no, I don't mean about whether or not you're worried about whether or not, you've had a haircut in a while, or you can cover up the growth of your hair when you need to get it colored again. But what I mean is spend some time looking in the mirror and reflect on the employee that you were before the doors closed. What does Michael mean by that? She means take some time to say, was I always contributing? Was I a positive and productive member of that company? Was I seen as a go-to person that's positive? And for many of you, the answer may be absolutely yes. And that is fabulous. Hold on to that and make sure that you're continuing to keep others buoyant with that as well. But if you weren't that way, this is a great time to stop and reflect and say, I'm going to be competing at a whole new level now when we start to get moving again. How do I want to position myself now? And what can I do to change how I'm viewed? So a couple things on that. Number one, this is a great time also. Actually, this is number 6 of our points, which is polish your resume. You have time. Pull it open, or if you've never written a resume, or it's just been something that you've done halfway there because you didn't need it, spend some time reflecting now. The resume it's a historical look on your career, and it should tell important things about who you are and what you do. And you have time, so let's do it. Beef it up, add content to it that makes sense. Go look online to see examples of other resumes if you don't know how to do that in today's marketplace, because there's some different things. If you haven't looked for a job in a long time, the use of keywords, for instance, are really important in resumes, and how you use them makes a difference whether or not you get through some of the automated human resource processes that are with many companies. So it's a great time to do that. So number 7, this is actually I could spend hours talking about what you should be doing on LinkedIn today. And if you're not on LinkedIn today, you need to get on LinkedIn. If you are on LinkedIn, but it's only been a placeholder for your resume, this is the time to engage. LinkedIn is where business people live and operate. And what I mean by that is this is where they are networking. This is where you are learning about people, their the things that are important to them. You learn about their positivity. You learn about their ability to be a thought leader. And that I could spend so much time on. But here's just a little hint. When I am hiring someone for a critical position in my company, if they don't have at least 500 connections on LinkedIn, it's the magic first number, then I know they don't use LinkedIn, and I know they're not engaged there. And it makes me ask the question, are they really keeping current on what's going on? And there's a lot of people who thought, well, if I show up on LinkedIn, it makes it look to my employer like I'm looking for a job. Nope, that's not the way it is anymore. LinkedIn is where we are engaging in a professional dialogue at a whole different level. And if you've never done it, believe me also, it is not like Facebook. It is not a place to share some things that you would on the personal side, but it is absolutely a place to start to make your presence known and make connections that may help you in the future. Number 8, enhance your learning. So you have some downtime, read a business book, listen to a business podcast, have a real focus on strengthening your professional skills. Whatever that is, there is a ton of material out there that is free, that is accessible, that's easy to download and consume. And if you're staying home also trying to educate your children while you have them doing reading time, model that yourself by reading and participating in things that are enhancing your skill set. Because I'll tell you what, if I were ready to hire somebody at the end of all this and they said, I asked them, so what did you do the last 8 weeks or 6 weeks or 4 weeks when you were at a stay at home? And you say, you know what? I knew that it was important for me to brush up on my sales skills. So here are the 2 books that I read, and I started listening to this podcast, and this is what I learned, and this is how I'm going to apply it in my career going forward. I'll tell you what, that would really impress me. That would make me understand that you are committed to using your downtime, not to just play, not to just worry, not to just complain, but to really strengthen yourself, which means that you're going to be a part of my company that believes in strengthening itself. So number 9 is be prepared to answer all what you did and did not do while you weren't quote unquote working. And that means if all of a sudden you are homeschooling your kids, then say, well, the last 6 weeks, I was the principal of our homeschool. And boy, did I learn a few things. Number 1, I learned that we need to start and stop at the same time every day. Number 2, I realized that it's important for my kids to have lunch at a structured time because that made sure that we kept on track with the objectives. Whatever it is, be able to detail for me what you did so that I can see how you organize your time. Now, this tells me something very sneaky as an employer. It lets me know whether or not you are all in, if you're organized, if you're learning, if you're adapting, or if you're just like, oh, I was losing my mind trying to teach my kids and deal with my spouse who's home and deal with the dog that wanted to run. I want to know how you maintain calm and order. And that leads to the last tip, which is strangely enough the same first tip, which is breathe. Breathing, though, now is for a different reason. In the beginning, I asked you to breathe just to be able to get that sense of, okay, I'm ready to start. Now, breathing is about knowing how you can control your emotions and how important that is when we get back to business and work as usual. You want to show confidence versus desperation. You want to have thankfulness versus bitterness. You want to be calm versus panic. And all these traits are so important to companies, whether you're going back to work with the one that you started with or you're looking for something brand new. These 10 tips will help you get through this time and come out better prepared on the other side. Thank you for joining me.